Hi, everyone, and welcome to this surprise episode of the Good Karma Success Coach podcast. I'm your host, Melinda Van Fleet, and I am so grateful you joined me on this podcast today. This episode came to me as a surprise as I was doing my morning gratitude meditation with my husband, Ryan. And it came to me. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to roll with it. My intuition is speaking loudly. The spirit guides are speaking loudly. And tomorrow is Thanksgiving. So I think they really feel that I must need to get this message across. And my whole body is zinging. So I am going to record this now. And normally I go for my walk first and then record a podcast. So I am truly operating from a whole other level. And we're just going to go with this and see what comes out. But if you have been following me or been connected to me or friends, you will know for a long time, Ryan and I have had a gratitude practice. And this stems way back to when we lived in Minneapolis and we first got married. And Ryan and I have been together, I think, 18 years. Oh, gosh. And so actually it's before we got married, I should say. And it stemmed from Ryan having such severe depression and anxiety. And I was led to asking him every night before we went to bed, what are 3 things he's grateful for? And I know I've told this story before, but it just bears repeating to set the context for this podcast. And pulling 3 things out of him was just like pulling teeth. I mean, some days I was like, really, dude, you can't think of 3 things. So often it became nachos and cheese. Once in a while he would say me, or he'd say fishing. Nachos and cheese was definitely always a top runner, to be honest. And it was just something that we had put into our lives as a practice. And I didn't pick it up from anywhere because way back then, YouTube wasn't a thing. Instagram wasn't a thing. Facebook wasn't a thing. So these are things that just were intuitively guided to me to help with his situation. And so over the years, we have always continued to have that practice. What I have noticed over the years is that sometimes we have a gratitude practice or a prayer practice, and it just ends up being on autopilot. And you're not really feeling the feelings and really immersing yourself in the energetics of the practice. And I dare say we all have done this on occasion or from time to time. More often than not. Hence why this is coming to me to talk about. I remember way back when I first started doing deep dives into studying spirituality and manifestation, which cracks me up now that, like, why did I ever even go down that path? Because I had it in me to begin with. And I feel that reading all these books and listening to all this content, taking all these courses actually has clouded me, and is something that I'm working on. And I think it's actually truly like the epidemic out there is like, how do we unwire ourselves from all this wiring that has happened and really get back to a place of normalcy in a normal state of being in our bodies? But I had purchased all the Richard Dott's books. If you didn't know who Richard Dott is, he is an author, and gosh, it's been years since I've looked at his books. I should have picked them off the bookshelf before I did this podcast, but I didn't. But you can go to Amazon, and I want to say there's easily 7. There might even be like 8 or 9. They're short reads, and they're like $10 each, and it covers all of these like little tweaks and little mindset shifts around manifesting, right, and money. And one of the things in these books that he mentions quite frequently is kind of the overriding theme is feeling the feels. And back then, I didn't know what he was talking about. I was like, what does feeling the feels mean? Like, what is that? Like what? And I would just kind of keep reading. And what I've come to realize probably in the past year or so is that it is truly feeling. Like, you truly do get a buzz. That's the best way to put it. A buzz in your body. You get a buzz in your body, and that's the energy flowing through you. And not that many teachers talk about that. I'll be real honest, not that many teachers. That's what I mean. Like, we've taken so many, as a collective, so many manifestation courses, joined different groups, listened to various podcasts, read lots of books. We've all done these things. I imagine you're one of those people. If you're listening to my podcast, you've probably listened to many other podcasts from many other spiritual teachers over the course of the years, since this has all kind of become a thing. And unfortunately, what it has just been doing is it's really been clogging us down, because then we tend to think, like, are we doing something wrong? Did we do something wrong? What could have we done better? And it just adds all these layers of conditioning on us. And if you're even, let's say, older, quote unquote, even though I don't feel old, but I'm 51. So hence I have all these amazing experiences and evidence of magical things coming true prior to finding all this information online, right? So the online piece of it has likely slowed me down over the years since I've kind of gotten into this. And I do believe that it's something that a lot of people have as a conditioning. And whether they want to talk about that or not, whether they want to even look in the mirror and recognize that or not, it is something to think about. So, where I'm going with this is, when you're doing your gratitude practice, really making sure that you are also feeling the feelings of gratitude. Are you feeling the feelings of gratitude? Are you feeling that energy in your body? Are you feeling that buzz state? Or are you just saying the words and checking it off your checklist? A lot of people say a prayer before they eat. Are they just doing it because that's what they learned in church? And so they say their prayer and they're done and they move on and they eat? That is not the same as really feeling the gratitude. And even holding on to that feeling after you're done with your prayer or with your meditation or with your just sitting in silence for a little bit and maybe being outside in nature. Any of these things can really bring you to an energetic state where you feel that buzz in your body, and then you just sit with that and you hang on to that for a little bit. And one of the most important things, and again, all of this is out there. This is not like new information, but it's just packaging in this way that hopefully like makes you have this little like aha moment where you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I've been one of those people, right? So creating the conscious awareness around this is what's super important. And those words can never be stressed enough. They really can't be, because again, we have all these distractions, all this wiring, all this conditioning that has been going on that then creates this block around being consciously aware. Because that's what it is. You keep going on autopilot and listening to something, you move on from this podcast, you do something else, instead of really sitting with it and going, okay, today I'm really going to make it a practice to be consciously aware of where I could spend a little bit of time, because yes, it is time and it is work, to really feel the gratitude in my body for something, and then hang on to it for a few minutes longer. You have to actually stop, be aware of that, and then make the effort to change and do that. That is the work. That is truly work. That is actually just as important as like going to work and having a job. In my opinion, it's even more important, right? So they say make something like this a side hustle. And it's true. Make it like a side hustle, like a job, because these things are really what is going to help you manifest and bring your desires and dreams to fruition, is when you can get these little things down and get back to basics, get back to how you were before we were all being conditioned by all this stuff that we're all consuming on such a regular basis. So I have become so in tune with my intuition and psychic ability that when I'm having an off day and I'm not hearing guidance, I know that I've been over consuming. And this is something that I've been working on for a few years now. And it's something that I started to really, I wish I knew when, but really started to perfect, maybe within this year. And so the last couple days have been those couple days. So I'll just give you a personal example. As I've mentioned on this podcast, I'm in other coaching containers and there's monthly fees associated with them, as there should be. All of that is fine. But when I feel that I'm on content overload, even though I pay to be in those containers, I actually practice more discernment about what content those mentors and coaches are sharing. And it's not from a judgment, it's not from a negativity, nothing like that, because there's someone else out there that is really going to benefit from whatever content they're putting out this month. But on many occasions, I may be like, that program that they're talking about this month is something I've already surpassed. It's already something I've worked on. I don't need to go through this again. I don't need to trudge up the past like going to a psychiatrist. Like, I'm good. I'm totally good. I'm going to keep on moving forward. And yes, I paid, but I no longer associate my monthly fees on a per module or per course basis. It's just all one. Money is energy. It comes back to me. It's just amazing how things work out. So it's just all one. And I would rather, the value for me is really making sure my channel is clear and I can feel the gratitude in my body when I choose to take a minute to experience gratitude, like Ryan and I did this morning with our meditation, versus thinking that I'm really bogged down with all this content and it's clogging my channel. So I really want you to think about that. Like, if you're having a challenge feeling the energetic shifts in your body and you are someone who's like, yes, Melinda, I have been just operating on autopilot, going through the motions. I listen to so-and-so's podcast and then I'm like, oh, I'm going to send out some gratitude memes today and this and that. And I'm just sending them out into the ethers on Facebook. And I'm really not experiencing the gratitude in my body. Then go, okay, well, why is that? Is it because I'm not taking the time to do that? Or am I so clogged down with so many other things out there that are truly just distractions and they're not really serving me, that I need to practice some discernment? Again, discernment is different from judgment. So it's just discernment, and separate those things. And even if you're part of a monthly container, it's okay. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Just be like, you know what? It's just part of my year-long container. You can look at it from a year-long bird's eye view, that some months you may get more from that container than other months, and hence it's just a year-long thing versus a monthly payment. That's a really good way to reframe it as well. But just practice that discernment and turn it off. You don't need to listen to that course or those modules. You can turn it off and be like, it's okay. You can circle back to it at a later date, but it's really important to keep your channel clear. We all have these capabilities. We all have the capabilities to be intuitive. No one is better than the other. We're just at different levels, and I continue to strengthen mine every day. So we all have these capabilities within us. It just takes time, effort, practice, doing the work, having the conscious awareness to feel the feels. And gratitude is just such a big part of it, because if you are feeling like you're in lack, if you are associating something that you desire with a need versus just the fun desire, it's so easy to shift to gratitude. And that's why so many coaches talk about gratitude, because it's just a really great kind of neutral, happy, blissful place to be. It's just to be in gratitude. And you can be in gratitude for anything, for anything, for just waking up. You can be in gratitude. So really then practicing it to that next level versus just an autopilot, check it off the list state, to really bring it into the feelings in your body and try to get to that level for even just more and more, just feeling good and having things work more and more for you in your favor. So I am going to put 2 really powerful gratitude meditation links in the show notes. And these are the gratitude meditations that Ryan and I do on a regular basis. We started doing one at night. Gosh, again, I wish I documented some of these dates, but maybe earlier this year. I don't even know, but we do a gratitude meditation every night, even though Ryan sometimes falls asleep. But we do a gratitude meditation every night, and then we recently started adding it into our morning routine. So we've always had a prayer a gratitude prayer every morning. We do pray a lot, but our prayers are always gratitude based. So I do want to be clear on that, because I do believe there's a difference, just like there's a difference between spirituality and religion. I do believe there's a different way to pray that is just gratitude for things in your life versus help me, I'm sick. You know what I'm saying? And I do some of that too. I'm not going to say I don't, but I'm just using those as like simple examples. So if you're going to pray every day, what we do as always make it from an abundance mindset, always from a gratitude mindset. And that's just how we often do it. If I feel that something doesn't feel good in my body, I then pray for help. That's actually where I end up praying for help, is like if I have a headache or I have something in my eye, which happens when I'm gardening, then I pray for help. Then I pray for the archangels to come in and help me. So I do separate how I pray a little differently, probably because it does come from my soul, from a spirituality aspect versus from any type of religious background. So just a little difference there, I could go off a whole other topic on all that, but I won't. So I'll keep that tight. But anyhow, I will put her name is Mary Kate. And if you know who that is, she's a big YouTuber. And I really, really love her meditations. They have been some of my favorite meditations. Deborah Lupian has amazing meditations on my podcast. But I also like Mary Kate. And so she has 2 gratitude meditations that Ryan and I have like saved on our YouTube playlist. So shout out to her, and a thank you to her for these 2 meditations that I also share to you. They are free on YouTube. I highly recommend getting YouTube Prime so you don't have to listen to commercials. A lot of people ask me about that because I'm such someone who loves YouTube. That is actually the platform choice for me to go to as a consumer. And I have YouTube Prime. It's worth the $11 or whatever it is, so you don't have any commercials. But anyhow, so check those out. And if you desire to make them part of your life, because that's what it is, we have made them part of our life. They are rituals, they are habits, they are part of our life, our gratitude meditations and how we pray, then I hope this inspires you to do the same, or you do some aspect of it. Whatever feels good for you is how you should do it. And that's it. So on this Thanksgiving, if you are in the US, I think there might be another country that has Thanksgiving too, but anywho, if you are celebrating Thanksgiving, think about these things. That's actually why this message came through. So it's because of the holiday tomorrow. And if you feel so called to check out any of my Black Friday specials, I have 6 Black Friday specials, which I explained more in depth on episode 222, the episode prior to this, about patterns and energy. And I will put the link in the show notes. Outside of the Black Friday specials, I have the programs that I offer just on a regular basis. So I did not touch the normal quote unquote one-on-one coaching or the business audit. So you can check those out as well. And I will put the links also in the show notes. And if you have any questions, like I mentioned on episode 222, if you're new to coaching and you just have some questions, I'm more than happy to set up a discovery call. You can email me at melinda@melindavanfleet.com. But until next week, I hope you love this podcast. I love recording it. Thank you, Divine, for the inspiration and the thoughts. And until next week, be grateful, be curious, always be learning, and you know what? Have some fun too. Thanks for listening.